Hello, I'm Skid from the Widescreen Gaming Forum. Today I'm going to be giving you a look at Grid Autosport. Now, Grid Autosport is basically the third game using the Grid brand, and it's basically made from feedback, or made with feedback in mind from Grid 2. So it's actually a lot more like Grid 1. They basically reverted a whole bunch of things. It's much more open-ended. It's more of a simulation than Grid 2 was, and I will get onto the definition of that in a bit because some people say Grid is not a simulation, and it is. But yeah, basically it's made with feedback from the fans of the original in mind. So it's going to look and perform, well, wrong words. The flow of the gameplay, the single player campaign, etc. is going to be a lot more open. It's a lot more like Grid 1, and there's more customization and options and things. So first things first, the graphical options. So multi-monitor support is pretty much perfect as far as I can tell, certainly for Surround. This is a review copy, so there will be improvements in the final release, bug fixes and things, but I've not really noticed that many bugs. But yeah, certainly in Surround it works perfectly. I can't speak for Eyefinity because I don't know anyone running this game in Eyefinity yet, because as I said, this is a review copy, game's not out for another week. So yeah, resolution, it picks it up by default, it's quite happy to do that. Full screen on. Aspect ratio, you want to leave at auto. I'm getting my tongue tied so early on, this is not a good start, but it's better than the other 5 starts I've had. Anyway, I've got multi-sampling set to ×2. I may have to disable that because I've not tested it with ×2 yet, but I think performance should be okay. But yeah, multi-sampling is on ×2 MSAA, and the graphical settings are pretty much on the default ultra settings. I did, however, have to go through NVIDIA Inspector to force the Grid 2 Dirt Showdown profile for this game to get SLI to work. But that's just a matter of waiting for NVIDIA to basically do it themselves and then do the necessary tweaks, because there is still some performance issues, but by and large, enabling SLI has allowed me to push the graphics almost as high as they will go. The only two things that are off of these two here, which are actually off by default for ultra settings. But yeah, there's plenty of options here for you to tweak and customize, and you can get a decent amount of performance out of it if you lower these, so fairly well optimized. Now this one is interesting, second screen. I'm not sure what this is supposed to do. I've not tried it properly yet. I think, if I had to guess, if you enable it, because there is another option in quality here. You go all the way down to the bottom, second screen, you've got player, broadcast high. That makes me think that the second screen is either going to be a direct show aspect, so that you can basically pick it up and then stream it, or it's literally going to render the game on a second screen for caption purposes. I'm not sure which it is because, yeah, I've not properly tried it yet. But yeah, it's an interesting option. So yeah, other options include a fairly comprehensive graphic or audio settings. So you can tweak most things quite happily here. I really should turn that off for the time being. I may end up having that on and push to talk on, I don't know. Again, this is a review copy, so there's pretty much no one playing multiplayer at the moment. Gameplay options are fairly standard. You can have the dials on, minimaps, counters, etc. So these are all basically HUD things you can turn on and off. And then units, miles per hour, because I prefer that one. Vibration settings for my wheel, which, if you hear that, that's my wheel. I apologise. There's not much I can do about that. And then control settings. It picked up my wheel settings fairly easily, or straight off the box. I did tweak some of them around just for personal preferences. So for example, I don't have look up and look down there disabled. Team radio, team orders, and push to talk is still set to the keyboard because I've not needed it yet. You can use the advanced wheel settings to tweak dead zones and saturations. Unfortunately, these only go in increments of 5. I would have preferred it if they went in increments of 1 or 2, but never mind. Because I like having a little bit of dead zone, just somewhere towards the middle, otherwise my car tends to wobble a bit. Just because it picks it up too much. So yeah, I tend to have a little bit of dead zone there, but you can have it all the way off, and it does work fine. There's also an option down here, interior steering wheel off, on or off. So if you have it on one of the two internal cameras, then you can use that to make it so that the one further back doesn't actually render the steering wheel. but there's two. There's basically one on the dashboard and there's one further back for effectively where the player will be sitting. Okay, so those are all the options. Now we get into difficulty settings. So this game has a full set of difficulty settings, basically all the way back from grid 1. You can customize all of this and you will get bonus experience for turning things on or off. So for example, I use automatic transmission because I tried to use manual. I gave it a real good go. I just couldn't get it. I'm too used to driving racing games automatic, so yeah, I just couldn't get used to it. But yeah, there's multiple transmission settings. You can have manual sequential, so basically I can use my little clicking gear changer just to increase one by one on a button press. You have H pattern and H pattern plus clutch. And each, basically using manual in any of these settings will give you a 5% experience boost. Other things that are back, flashbacks, which again you can tweak. You can have up to 5 or unlimited and you'll get a XP penalty if using unlimited, and I have them turned off. Flashbacks, just because I won't be able to show them, basically allow you to rewind and then continue to try and take a corner again if you bugger something up. So that may be an option that more casual people want to do, so that they're not overly penalised for a single mistake. But otherwise, if you turn it off, you get bonus experience for it, and then if you turn it off, you're also not tempted to use it, which is why I have it off. You can also disable the entire HUD, which I have left on because they don't render the dashboard properly. I don't know whether that's just a review copy thing or whether it's an intentional thing. I can see a reason why they would do it, but I'll get into that later. And then you can also turn the racing line on or off, and you can have it on full or corners only. You can fix or lock the camera to internal only or allow any camera view. I'm going to set it to any so I can show you all. And then you can also increase the length of the race. This basically is a multiplier for how many laps the race would have. So the touring car races I've done so far have had about 3 laps. If I had it on times 2, there would be 6, then there would be 9, and then times 5 would make it 15 laps. This would also apply to endurance. Or the endurance races I've done so far were 8 minutes long, and then times 8 would of course make them 40 minutes long. So you get flat EXP multipliers for that, so 5 times. A 40-minute long endurance race is going to be very challenging because they have tyre wear, and tyre wear can really screw you over if you don't race right. So let's see what else. Credits, achievements as standard. RaceNet is back in here. I think all that button will do is link and delink my account. Driver's details. Yep, so this allows me to give my driver a name, give it an age, nationality, which basically just changed the flag, and audio names are back. Audio nicknames. So you can either have male names, female names, or nicknames. Skid is unfortunately not a name, and neither is Nathan again, which is irritating because they have like Mohammed, Mo, Mitch, Mike, Matt, Max, Mark, but they don't have Nathan. Nathan is not that uncommon a name. I'm fairly sure Stephen's probably in here as well. Oh, Steve's in here rather than Nathan, or Stephen. So maybe that's why it's Nath. But yeah, Nath is the nearest one, so that's the audio nickname I'm using. So if I push that button,
okay, Nath. Okay, Nath.
They will sometimes use that over the team radio. So statistics are obviously just my current race statistics. I have a 16% win ratio. There's a very good reason for that. You should not expect to be winning your races when you start out. You can do, but if you are doing, then your difficulty is set too low. So split screen is apparently a thing. I've not tried that because... Let me push a button. No, I need a second controller or something to do. Then you've got Custom Cup, which is custom race. I will be going into that later, just so that I don't have to do a full season. Online play, shall I jump through that now? Or shall I come back to that? I'll come back to that actually. There is something in fact there is one thing that I will quickly go into here for. They've added something, and the reason I'm doing this now is just so that there's more people around. They've added something called RaceNet Club. Now, will this pick it up? Because I set it up a few minutes ago. So RaceNet clubs are basically, there we go, kind of like guilds. They're effectively guilds or groups that allow you to collect together. I think the best racing terminology to use for it would say they're basically teams. They allow you to create your own custom livery, which is just a basic logo. Can I get that up from here? I cannot, and I don't know whether or not that will display. Go away, overlay. Yeah. So yeah, if you go to the RaceNet, Codemasters RaceNet, and look up Skid Ink Racing, you might be able to find it. I don't know whether or not... Well, it allowed me to create it. But yeah, basically they're clubs or groups that you can get people to join together and all race under the same colours or race against each other. So yeah, they're much like guilds or clubs. Or yeah, guilds is the best description for them. But yeah, there's also going to be club-based rankings. So I set one up just to so that I could grab the name. But I don't know how much interest there will be. So mine's called Skid Ink Racing. Has it actually cased that properly? It has. The website had it all capitals, so SIR is supposed to be all capitals, but I don't know, it may have lowercased it. Anyway, yeah, I set it up just in case there was some sort of interest for it and I wanted to grab the name. So yeah, I've set up Skid Ink Racing. If you want to join this club, then you would need to go through Codemasters RaceNet, their online system for that, and then you should be able to find it if you select Grid Autosport as a game and go to RaceNet Club, then you should be able to search for it. But yeah, so it's just a way to effectively team up, so kind of like a friends list, but yeah, they're basically adding leaderboards and things like that to it, so it's going to be a little bit more competitive. But yeah, we'll save the online stuff for later.
Take a look at what championships you can enter.
Okay, so the game is basically split up into 5 different disciplines, and you are under no obligation to do any of them. So the 5 disciplines are Tourings, i.e. touring cars, which are basically road legal cars that have been similar specs. They tend to be close pack races, and I will show a touring car race. I will try and show a touring car race, an open wheel race, and a street race. I will actually show street race from season. Endurance races is what they sound like. They are basically not long distance. They are, well, yeah, they're long distance. They're basically races that are supposed to last a long time, and you have to be conscious of tyre wear in them. No other discipline actually has tyre wear, but tyre wear is basically done on a gradual scale. So basically, the more wear you get on your tyres, the less grip you will have with your tyres, and the harder it becomes to brake and the harder it becomes to turn around corner. So it very much adds a more tactic to the game, or to a endurance race, because you have to decide when you want to burn those tyres. Because if you burn them at the beginning, you won't have them towards the end, and you might end up spinning off, so like in the last minute of the race, and losing all your positions. So yeah, those are endurance races. Touring cars, I think, are mostly races and some time attacks. Endurance, I think, is just flat-out races. Open wheels, I think, is also flat-out racing. Tuners is basically souped-up vehicles. So your drifting is part of tuner racing. Time attacks is also part of tuner racing. They have races as well. And then street races is more so like, again, your road legal cars, but they are on road tracks. Whereas the majority of these are all on actual circuits. So there are a lot more circuit races in this. So yeah, the way the actual system works is you select a discipline and you get a bunch of championships. Now these championships, if you will see underneath them, will tell you how many events you have and how many offers you have. Now the offers are basically contracts from other teams, or contracts from teams to hire you to race for them. And that's where the fact that you should not expect to win every race, because when you start out, you will only be getting offers from the smaller teams, the ones with the weaker setups and not quite as good cars. If you manage to win a league,
season like that is going to get the teams knocking at your door. Raven West are looking to you to raise their status this season.
So Raven West are pretty much the best team in the game. They are basically the ones to beat. They are possible to beat with every other car setup, but you would be pushed hard to do it in some of them. For example, in the endurance race, I couldn't keep up anywhere near them. They were just gone. They were that fat or that much quicker. So you shouldn't expect to beat them, but it is possible to. If you have your difficulty set right, then they should provide the most challenge. But if you're just flying well ahead of them, then you have your difficulty too low. So yeah, the way that this works, let me go to this one because this is the one we're going to start on. It tells you underneath that there are basically 4 events and 2 offers. Now that means that there are...
Autosport are looking to freshen up their roster of drivers this season. Your performance has piqued their interest.
Which ones are we? Finish above. Yeah. So... yeah, well, basically, I'll explain the team offers first. Basically, you sign a contract for the entire season, and the entire season consists of, in this particular case, 4 events. Now, those events could have multiple races in them. In touring car, they pretty much always do, because you race on each track twice. I think you qualify and you race once, and then the grid order is reversed from qualification, you race again.
You did absolutely everything right last season, so have a look at your choices going forward. Razer Motorsport are upping their game and have an offer you should consider.
I don't know whether or not I can mute that. So yeah, basically I have 2 offers from teams here. Now they have particular targets that they want me to achieve this season, and I will get bonus experience for it. Experience is only applied to the individual discipline, so you have to level up each discipline on their own. That's effectively where the choice comes in. The more you level up in a discipline, the more seasons or series you unlock. So I've got 2 offers from 2 different teams. Now, the teams are fundamentally different. Some teams are actually better at each individual, or have focuses on individual, disciplines. I think Razer have a reasonable focus on street racing, so they have decent cars for it. But you'll see here you've got car setup capabilities low and car setup capabilities medium. That's basically your ability to tweak your car's performance settings. So because I've done most of my races with Razer, I'm going to continue with them there. So this is telling me what cars that they will be, or I would be driving if I went with them this year or for this season. Now I have a slight issue with this particular thing. The issue that I have is that it doesn't give you the statistics for these cars. Now that's problematic for me, because if I go back to the last endurance season I did, I originally started off with Razer,
Do well for one team,
which I can't show you here.
Monster Energy Racing are after a good result this season, so have a look at what they want from you.
Shush now. So yeah, I started off with Razer Motorsport again for my endurance race, but they put me in, I think it was not a McLaren, a Mercedes, and it was, I think it was rear wheel drive, and it was basically much more slidey than, or more slidey and less grippy than I like my cars. So I ended up having to abandon that entire season just because I couldn't drive that car, because it's not my type of car. I probably could have got used to it, but it would have been a real pain in the arse. So I had to quit the season to come back into it to pick the other team that was racing the McLaren, which I can drive because it's nice and grippy. So if I had a complaint, that's one of them, that it doesn't give you enough information about the car to make an informed decision about whether you want to pick that team. You're basically picking the team based entirely off so like this information here, what your targets are and how much you get for succeeding in them. And then otherwise it just tells you the car name, it doesn't give you the car specifications. The other things that it will tell you about are sponsor objectives, which will give you extra experience if you complete them, and they're accumulated on each race, you can get them multiple times. And your teammate, which so far has been absolutely useless. Actually, I tell a lie. The Razer teammate I had in my street races did reasonably well. We managed to win the season. Actually, as a team, which I've not done yet. So yeah, we're going to go with them. Audi Coupes, Mercedes-Benz. What cars does Intel have? BMWs, Aston Martin Vanquish. Yeah, we'll stick with Razer. So yeah, we'll do the first street race and then we will go to Custom Cup so I can show you some of the other disciplines. So, Ooh, this might have been a bad idea actually. I don't think street races is allowed qualifying. Could be problematic. I might not be able to qualify. Okay. Damn it. Qualifying's gone. So yeah, basically from here, I can retune my difficulty settings if I want to. So we still want to make sure the camera position is on any, so I can show you them all. You can also get to your options from here. Team objective is just a reminder of what you're trying to do for your team. Event rules is fairly standard. So event structure, you can have practice on the Friday and then you race on the Sunday. Grid order is championship stand in reverse. So basically the person at the top of the championship starts from the back of the grid. Races start in static grid and then points for positions. So that gives you a bit more information about the rules of the championship. Now vehicle upgrades, these are pretty much all applied by default and all you can really do is remove them or re-equip them. So if I remove this, then yeah, it's just flat out decreased my performance. So if we put it back on, I can't really think of any reason why you would want to remove upgrades that your team provides. But the thing you might want to do is vehicle tuning. So this team has low vehicle tuning. That basically means I can either have it all the way up, all the way down, or somewhere in the middle. If I went with a team with medium tuning, I could do a 50% split. So I could go 0, 50%, 100, and then plus 50%, 100. And then I think the next one is high, and that'll be so like 25 increments. So there's a small degree of tuning, and the team that you go with will depend on how much tuning you can do. So yeah, depending on the race types that you're doing, you may get practice, you will almost always get practice, but you may also get qualifications. So street races don't have qualifyings because the reverse order is basically championship reversed. But for touring races, then you would have qualifying. So we have a new car and we have a new track. I apologise if you can hear my wheel, there's not much I can do about that. So, camera views, which button is it? It's that one. So you have exterior camera, you have further back exterior camera, you have bonnet cam, oh that's nose cam, bonnet cam, dashboard cam, or behind the wheel cam. Now the problem I have, or one thing that I don't like, if you have a look at the rear view mirrors and the side mirrors, they're blurred, you can't see anything out of them. That's not useful, that's absolutely useless. Because that basically renders those mirrors useless. I can't do anything with them, I can't see what's behind me without pressing this button here. Which I think is kind of bad, I wish that the rear view mirror at least would work. My other issue that I have is that I can't see the dashboard, so I can't really turn off my speedometer, because otherwise I don't really know if I braked enough for a corner. I just have to judge it by ear, and it's easier just to double check. It's easier to double check effectively on the speedo, but since the speedo's not in the car, I can't do that with the HUD turned on. So let me just put the camera back to where I like it. There. This was something, or there was actually a decent amount of argument that this particular camera view is just unrealistic because it's too far back because you've already got the steering wheel in front of you, which is perfectly valid, but there's no reason why some people shouldn't like it and shouldn't be able to use it. This one, however, is more natural. So this is dashboard cam, and this is the one I've been using pretty much all the time. So, practice is basically what it sounds like. It's supposed to give you give you time to get used to the car, get used to the track. And that's basically what practice is for. So yeah, standard race structure, you would be able to practice for 10 minutes.
You're on average pace for sector 1.
That's what I was waiting for. Your team engineer, I presume that's supposed to be, will tell you how well you're doing. I wish, a small complaint about him, I don't think he tells me often enough, and I don't have a button that I can get him to reiterate. Well, I think that was off pace for sector 2. I haven't found a button that forces him to say it, because on the next lap he won't tell me unless I either go much faster or much slower than my actual or the previous pace, and I would like him just to constantly tell me I'm on pace, I'm off pace, but I can't find a way to turn that on or off. Let me just pause it a second. There may be an option that I've missed. Voice chat, dynamic range, gameplay. Nope. Yeah, so certainly during practice I would like him to tell me more often, so like you're on pace, you're off pace, because while I was trying to practice for, what was it, the endurance races, I had no idea how well I was doing. It basically told me that I was off pace and then never told me again. So I didn't know whether or not I was improving, whether or not I could like push it a bit harder. It just didn't tell me.
Push out a faster time though.
So that's one complaint I have about the team radio. Now, oops. Now, if you remember back to the control systems, I can actually do this.
You've got damage to your steering column.
There's 4 buttons you can press that basically...
Down on your time compared to your last go at that sector.
Yeah, there's 4 buttons that you can basically use to get information from your team or your team engineer. I believe they are distance to the car in front, distance to, or sorry, how well you're doing in comparison to, what's it called? Your event rival, how well you're doing in comparison to your teammates, and then how much damage, or a status update on your car, so like what damage you've received, etc. So we'll practice this a little bit more, we'll do one more lap. Need to brake earlier for that one. I have damaged my steering column. I barely hit that. Let me just brake my car. One advantage of the practice is that if you leave it, it will still keep the amount of time that you've done, but when you re-enter it, you'll basically start with a shiny new car, so it repairs damage. So if you bugger up, you can basically just reset it that way and then get on your way again. Practice a bit more. So yeah, you get 10 minutes to practice. That's pretty much fixed in every discipline. It's always 10 minutes. I've not seen it be any more or less. But yeah, let's talk about the handling system of the car. Now, as I said, this is a simulation. Now, I split it into 3 categories. Basically, there is an arcade, or there's arcade, simulation, and true simulation. Now, a lot of people say that Grid is not a simulation. It is. By every definition of the word simulation, it is a simulation. A simulation is merely an approximation of something. You are basically trying to fake something. And that's exactly what they're trying to do here. They're trying to give you the impression of driving the car and controlling the car, which is what I think is key. But they're not going as far as to absolutely nail down every minor detail of the car's handling, the car's performance, and like damage models and everything. They're trying to give a decent feeling for it so that you still feel like you're in control of the car without going overboard. So basically, they are simulating you driving the car, and that's all it takes. They're not trying to do it accurately. They're just trying to give you a good feeling. All the cars handle unique, all the cars handle differently. Eek. Wall. But yeah, it is a simulation nonetheless. It is not an accurate simulation by any means. But it is a... I don't know whether he said on pace or off pace. Yeah, it's not an accurate simulation, but it's not trying to be. It's just trying to be a decent simulation, a good approximation, which I think they succeed at. So, let's talk about the damage model while I'm still trying to get used to it. Yeah, he's off pace. So yeah, let's talk about the damage model. They have the standard damage, so you can damage your wheels, you can damage your drivetrain, your drivetrain, steering column. You can also damage your radiator. You can damage your engine. Yeah, you definitely said average pace there. But they've also added a few other things. One thing that they've added, which doesn't apply directly to me, but does apply to people using manual gearbox or manual changing, it actually kind of still applies to me because
You're gonna have to practice this more if you want to stay competitive on race day.
Yeah. Car's a wee bit slippy. There's not enough straights to justify that, so I'm just thinking about tuning my car. So yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, you can damage your gearbox. So basically, if you over rev and you're just like using manual gears, increase acceleration, improve cornering, reduces stability but can reduce oversteer. Am I oversteering or understeering? Kind of. Yeah, we'll leave that as it is. So yeah, if you're using a manual gearbox, then certainly the fact that you can damage your gear chain or drive chain, is it drive chain? Well, you can damage your gearbox just by like over revving, changing badly. And if you do it enough, that will basically make it so that your car will start skipping gears, or it'll start taking longer to get into a gear. So yeah, you can screw yourself over if you're not careful. Of course, you can disable all the damage if you really want to, but why would you disable it? One thing that I wouldn't have minded was if the game would allow you to like, I think it actually would, but I think I would have to set it and reset it in the options. I wouldn't mind if the what's it called? The whatchamathingy line, the racing line indicator. Oh, that's my teammate. I wouldn't mind it if the racing line indicator could be enabled for practice only, because that would help. Because one thing, 10 minutes isn't a lot of time to practice, particularly if you're not used to the car or the track, because you then got to learn both at the same time. You've got to learn where your braking points are. So being able to enable that, or enable the racing line in practice only, I think would be useful. And I don't think the game would penalise you for it, because I could change... Damn you. I mean, I could go to the options menu and actually turn it back on, but I don't actually get experience for practicing. So yeah, I could actually do it, but I would have to do it manually, and I think an option to do that automatically would be nice. Trying to talk, not paying enough attention to what I'm doing.
That was off pace for Sector 3.
What about Sector 2? You never said. Anyway, that's enough. Let's get into the race. I'll be able to better judge my braking distances when I have a car in front of me. So, this is a street race. It's using basically production type cars, or road type cars.
Position 12, and your teammate is 11th on the grid.
Because naturally, we have to start from the back. Fortunately, Raven Motorsport,
They're not going to make it easy though.
Raven Motorsport, which are the ones to beat, are directly ahead of us. Now, Raven Motorsport appear to have trouble in street races because they always end up starting from the back. Now, the AI is reasonable, however, it's not so far... Damn you. While I would say the AI is reasonable...
Just crashed out. It looks like they're okay though.
Yeah, while I would say that the AI is reasonable, I would say that the AI doesn't adjust for the type of discipline that it's in. So, endurance races and... what's it called? Open wheel races, they still drive excessively aggressively, which isn't right.
Spin out on track.
Damn you, I almost got around you. So they will quite contently cover their line, but the problem is that, well, the problem I had was in an endurance race, I quite clearly had a line around a corner. They may have been going faster than me, but I had the line and I was in front of them, and yet about 3 times in the same corner they just smacked me in the back, and which of course made me spin off because it was sort of like 5 minutes through the 8-minute race and my tyres were halfway worn down. So yeah, they don't respect you having the racing line,
The first lap, chase down the back.
regardless of effectively what discipline you are in. Now, I could understand it in a street racing, so like street racing, potentially tuning racing as well, and certainly in touring car racing. But it's like in endurance, and it's certainly in open wheel, then that's just not right. They should not be racing that aggressively. So yeah, it looks like I'm paying a little bit for having anti-aliasing turned on. It's still just about keeping 60.
You've got damage to your steering column.
It's not serious though by the feel of it. Ah! Yeah, not serious. What's the 4-lap race? Need to catch up with them. I believe I need to be 5th or higher. So yeah, the AI is decent, but they really need to tweak it more in some of the disciplines because, yeah,
Halfway point.
as I said, they shouldn't be that or as aggressive as they are in open wheel and endurance races. Because endurance races are about like consistency, and ramming into cars ahead of you is not very consistent. And most of the times you will also see basically a clusterfuck at the first corner where all of the cars just ram into each other. And this tends to lead to effectively the two people out in front. Shite, did it again. The two people out in front just getting well away.
Ask your teammate to push for a higher position.
Now, that's something else I've not mentioned yet. You get a limited control over your teammate. You can basically decide how aggressively they're supposed to drive. So I've told him to attack because he's 12th. So he needs to be higher, particularly if I'm only 6th. Where are they braking? They're braking at 100. Not braking hard at 100. Last lap.
Let's push through now.
Where are they braking? They're braking there, so I'll brake here. I could have broken later, but I've caught them. Ah. And they're gone again. I don't think I'm going to catch them unless they make a serious mistake. Oh, I've got one. I've got one. He's probably not going to give me the room. I've got the other one. Gave him a little bit of a nudge, but I got him. There we go. 4th is reasonable enough. And it looks like Raven Motorsport are back on top again. Ah! Still ahead of them. So yeah, Raven Motorsport, if they get out in front and you're not right behind them, they've gone. You won't catch them. So in events where you can't qualify, then you will have a hard time beating them.
Your event rival.
But I think that's the way the game is designed. They're supposed to be the best team.
Teammate in the driver standings.
So they're basically the ones you're aiming to beat. I find it a little annoying that the guy's American though. I think I actually could have had an English flag rather than a British one set as my nationality. Anyway, replays do exist. They look reasonably good. My car is already scuffed and I've not even reached the first corner yet. Oh look! It looks like one of the Raven West guys actually spun off at the second corner. So yeah, the graphics quality is pretty decent. It's not great, it's not the best I've seen, but it's more than good enough to suffice. And I've only got like anti-aliasing on 2, so it could be pumped up a little more and some of the lighting effects can be increased a bit more. I won't play this whole thing through because I've got other race types and disciplines to try and show you. So yeah, I need to turn my anti-aliasing off because it's dropping to 50. Maybe because I'm recording as well. But yeah, the game's reasonably well optimised one way or the other. So we shall tell it to continue because I can't back out yet. I will have to finish the season later. Completed 2 sponsor objectives so I get extra experience. And I've got 37% extra experience from, excuse me, my difficulty settings. Which reminds me, need to relock the camera. Come on, hurry up. Okay, so we will exit the season. We can come back to it later. Go back. Custom Cup. So, which one should we do? Touring cars are basically just standard racing, so the only reason to show you that would basically be to show you the cars. Endurance again, standard racing. Open wheel might be one to show you. We'll go tuner. So you've got muscle, JDM, modified, super modified, and then drift classifications. So I think most of these are races or time trials, and they're basically extremely modified cars. That's what they're supposed to be. So we're going to do a drift event. We shall do 1 event. AI drivers on hard, event details. I forgot to change the difficulty setting, didn't I? Practice duration is off. Grid order. Flashbacks. Yeah, because I don't think you can get experience from this. I think you can, I think you can only get experience in-game for the individual disciplines. The same applies online. You will only get discipline for the individual discipline for the individual disciplines, experience for the individual disciplines. So let's quickly show you a drift race because I am almost never any good at these. Mazda, Nissan. Yeah, let's go with a Mazda. I tend to go with Mazda anyway. Cusco Racing, Razor Motorsport Racing, we'll go with that one. So during the campaign you can't actually use custom decals and livery, but you can do online. So drift events are what they sound like.
Welcome to Yas Marina for today's event. Joining me is Peter. What can we expect from this track?
So I'm guessing there is a fine tuning which allows you to get it by 10. I don't think I've seen fine tuning yet. Can I get the upgrades? I can get upgrades. Let's get all the upgrades just for the sake of having all the upgrades. All the upgrades. Okay, so let's qualify. We will almost certainly fail qualification because I am not sure I know this track. Actually, I do know this track, it's just in reverse. So yeah, drifting is what it sounds like. And I entirely buggered up the first drift. Off track. So yeah, you score points for basically the length, duration, speed and angle of a drift. You also score bonus points for getting close to markers on the edge. And without the ability to practice in this car, I cannot drift it. And you of course lose points, or you basically gain points up until the point that you collide or go off track. So because I hit that, I only got points for everything that happened before it. And that was abysmal! Absolutely abysmal. Also, one thing I've noticed about drift racing, the calculations that the game uses to work out how much or how many points the other competitors get actually doesn't reflect the skill that the AI drivers can perform if they are allowed to do it. Damn it. And I've hit that. Doesn't actually reflect the skill of the AI drivers, or that the AI drivers can output if they're allowed to be on track with you. which once you get past qualifying, they will be. So basically, when they're actually on the track with you, they will generally score between 300 and 500 points higher than everybody else. So we'll give that another go. See if we can't get used to this car in the second one. I never quite got used to that corner going the other way around it. Damn it, hits it. Never mind, the first drift was good. Damn it, caught it with the back end. The rest of that would have been a reasonable drift. No, miss it. Not too bad if I can... No, I need better than that. Need better than that. I'm going to need about 1 million in this next run to stay in the event. So basically it works on a kind of tournament format. You qualify initially and you need to score in the top 8 in order to proceed. And then after that you basically go head to head. Damn it, it's caught the back end as well. And that's not going to make up for it. Nope, failed again. So yeah, once you qualify, which I won't have done, then you basically go head to head, and again it's 2 runs, but one person will go first and the other person will go second. So drifting is back in, and it is basically mostly on closed circuits, small things like that. At least so far as I can tell, I'm fairly early on in the game. Shall I give it another go? Shall I give it another go? I'll give it another go, but if I get... Oops, I click continue. Never mind. We won't give it another go. So yeah, the rest of the races come as time trials and things like that. So, let's go to the online settings. We are 47 minutes in, damn. So yeah, online. So, we shall go through my garage first because you will always start with one car and this is the only car I've got. So this is a new car, it is shiny, I've actually put custom livery on it. And my steering wheel is not letting me rotate the car, it should do. Never mind. So yeah, I put the custom livery on it. If we go to select, we can custom livery it, we can tune it, but I think, yeah, we need to unlock it by leveling up, I think, in general. I don't think we have to level up specifically with this car. And similarly, vehicle upgrades. These are relatively minor. They will give you an edge, but you will still be able to beat someone with upgrades. At least that's what Codemasters say, which I'm hoping is right. So it's basically just a way to distinguish your car, give you a little bit of an edge. Repair it if you get it damaged, or you can sell it. Vehicle livery is reasonably well fleshed out. So I didn't mean to go back, I wanted to go to that. Can I not edit it? Livery options. Edit. Ooh, that's a button I meant to click. Set RaceNet Club livery. Because I'm an admin and I can do. So all RaceNet cars in my club will look something similar to this style I'm going for. Or is that going to set it? If I change it, does that now mean that my RaceNet Club logo will be on the car somewhere? I can't see it. But yeah, sorry. Customizations. So it's fairly detailed. It's not like as advanced as Shift 2 was, for example. trying to see if I can see our logo, or the logo I put on. I can't. The logo was temporary anyway because I wasn't sure how I wanted it. But yeah, so basically you can change the pattern, which is basically just the actual livery itself. So it's fairly simple there. You can then change the colour, the base colour, and 4 colours of the pattern and the colours for the wheels. The actual customization for these is pretty much fully extensive, so you can fine tune it as much as you like. You can then select a number for your car. I have gone with number 11 because number 11 is my favourite number. You can then select your wheel types and your sponsors. Sponsors unlock as you level up. I've got to go into it. So yeah, higher levels you unlocks you more sponsors. They will typically have more harder objectives but better rewards. But as it stands, you only start off with 6, but there is basically 6 slots, so that there is enough to fill all the slots. So, what else you can do? You can buy new cars, which are of course all way outside of my price range. Super Ultis? Ah, right. UTE, utility vehicles, I think. Class A touring cars. That's an ugly looking colour. There are better shades of purple than that. Yeah, so you can buy new cars. You don't actually have to own a car in a particular class in order to race in that race. You can get a loaner car, which again are competitive, but buying your own car is of course better because you can then tune it up to your liking. You can also put your decals on it, whereas you can't on a loaner car. You can also buy used vehicles. I don't know whether these come from other players or whether they're just random vehicles. Let's have a quick look. But these will generally come with a certain amount of wear and tear on them to begin with. But they will always be or they will often be cheaper than like buying them first hand, which is the point. So yeah, that's your customization, I believe. RaceNet challenges. These return from Grid 2. There's basically a challenge or a new challenge every week for each discipline and then 1 wild card. I'm fairly sure no one has been trying to do any of these challenges. They didn't do when I checked it yesterday. Change filter. Ooh, someone has set a challenge. No idea who that is. But yeah, there's basically local and worldwide leaderboards. Party mode. Ah yeah, we'll get to party mode. So yeah, these are basically just challenges. I don't think they're against other people. I think they're just like on your own, set these challenges to beat other people. I think is the idea. And again, they have leaderboards and they have bonuses for winning and bonuses for being on top of the leaderboard. So, multiplayer. So, now, I can either go through online playlists, which will basically go through a standard, I think standard races, and there was never any. I can select between any playlist, or I can pick a specific discipline that I want to do. Or I can go to Custom Cup. I can either find custom cups, custom matches, or I can create one, which is what I'm going to do. Well, I'm not going to create one, I'm just going to show you the options. So basically, all of the options from the main game are here. So you have your 5 disciplines, you have touring car, endurances, open wheel, tuner, street races. They all apply the same way that they would do in your single player campaign. But you also have access to something you do not have access to in your campaign, and it's something I never check to see whether or not is in custom races. Party mode. Party mode is the only place where you can find demolition derbies, or eliminators, or checkpoint races. Those are basically the only 3 options you have here, but they are the only place that you will find them. So they've basically been kept from, I think these are pretty much all. Yeah, they are all of the vehicle types from all of the standard disciplines. But yeah, party mode is the only place where you will find checkpoint races, eliminations, or destruction derby, and they've been carried, or they've been kept because people wanted to keep them, but they don't really fit in with the theme of the game. Otherwise, you can then tweak things. So event details allow you to change the track, pick the type of circuit, pick day or night. I believe if I increase the number of events, I can then customize them so I can pick which tracks are being raced on. Online options, so I can either have it open or closed. I think closed means that it's invite only. Open means that anybody can join. Pre-race time is what it sounds like. It's basically the space of time before a race begins, so it's the downtime while you're waiting for other people to join. Allow upgrades, tuning and assists. Collisions are on or off. I'm not sure what impact rating it is. That might be specific to Destruction Derby. You can also force manual gears on and off, and you can force internal camera on and off. Advanced options allow you to put the damage on, so visual only or full, and allow you to customize how many flashbacks you have. I'm honestly not sure how flashbacks are supposed to work online. Because if you I wonder if it only applies to your car, whether it applies to everyone. I would assume that it would have to apply to everyone. But it may only apply to your car. I never played Grid 2 online. I never got around to it. So I imagine that it follows through from that. So however it worked in Grid 2 online, that's how it would work. But yeah, I've not done it. And again, review copy, no one's playing. So yeah, I think that covers everything. I think. And yeah, RaceNet Club, I have one. If you're interested in joining it, please let me know. Post something in the comments about it, because it's basically just me floating the idea at the minute. I just wanted to grab the name. Rank 5th, 1 member. I wonder where I can get a list of it. Probably through RaceNet, I'd imagine. But yeah, I think that's everything. DLC store has nothing in here at the minute, I think. Resume season, start new season, which will cancel the current season, awards, career progress. Yeah, that's my general progress. I put about 10 hours in, but 8 hours was me trying my damnedest to do, which one was it? It was an endurance race. It's the one where the AI really started to tick me off, because in the first corner, the people at the back, not the people at the front, people at the back, because I couldn't qualify particularly high, because I couldn't get used to the car quick enough. People at the back just rammed into everyone. There's just this massive pile up at the back, and I spent at least 20 minutes redoing the start just to try and get past them and not get caught up in it. And then I also got 5-7 minutes through multiple times, and either span off on my own, or on one particular corner, it was always the same corner. I would take a pretty decent line. I would have slowed down because I burnt down my tyres. And then, yeah, someone from behind would just smack me. And I'd just go. I'd be off the track, and then you would watch as 10 other cars pass you. Which is a reason to use flashback, but it's a reason for me to get annoyed at AI drivers. But yeah. So I've had a decent amount of fun with what I played with so far. The online definitely should have potential, but again, I've not had a chance to try it. And multi-monitor support is brilliant. It definitely feels a lot more like the original game, and it is a hell of a lot more open. I can choose the disciplines I want to do. I mean, I can entirely ignore tuner if I really want to. The disadvantage of doing that is that I then can't enter the Grand Slam, because the Grand Slam requires you to be level 3 on everything, and the Grand Slam is basically a mixed event. But again, you don't have to do the Grand Slam. You can do it if you want to, but you don't have to. So you can just focus on the disciplines that you're good at. But yeah, that covers it. So I just need to say thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. The game is out in the US next Tuesday. This video should be out tomorrow, which will be this Tuesday. And let me just double check Steam to see what the UK release date is, because I'm not entirely sure. Apologies, I'm looking at my monitor or my laptop, so I'm not speaking into my mic. Coming soon. Grid Autosport just says June on Steam. So it may be out in the UK on Tuesday, it might be out on Friday, I do not know, it doesn't say. There's probably confirmation on the Codemaster blog somewhere, but I won't try and dig into that while I'm still on camera. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please like and subscribe. And I'll just even say thank you again, and hopefully I will see you next time.